You're probably wondering, when will AI take over the world? When's it going to take your job, your industry, or even your future? These are some of the most searched questions on the internet right now, on Google, on YouTube, and on ChatGPT. In this video, we're going to cover them. First, I just want to make one thing really clear. The question is not if AI is going to change the world, because it already has. The real question is, how are you going to respond to it? Now, who am I? I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, and for the last 2 years, I've been running an AI development studio. We've helped clients to scale operations, cut costs, automate workflows, and grow very aggressively. We've had clients in their first year of business make millions of dollars in revenue. We've had clients raise millions of dollars in funding for ideas that weren't even thought about or possible several years ago. We've even had one client who, in the same 6-month period, they halved the number of people in their sales team while doubling their revenue. So AI is not coming, AI is already here. And the real question is, how are you going to respond? So if you're a business owner, if you're an employee, or if you're someone who's looking to start a business, this is the video where we're going to go through how you need to respond to the rise of AI. So let's get into it and how we respond to AI and the end of business as usual. So over the next 10 years, AI is going to create more leverage, automate more roles, and collapse more business models than the internet did in 30. Now, if you're a business owner or entrepreneur, there's only really 3 ways that you can respond. You can go on the offensive, you can go on the defensive, and you cannot respond at all. So of those 3 choices, we'll start with defensive. So if you're looking at defensive options, you more or less are looking at how can I integrate AI into my existing business in order to gain an advantage. Now, what does that mean? That means things like automating internal processes. It means looking at operations, customer support, lead qualification, onboarding, even things like sales, and going, how can I use AI to further assist my business, automate entire processes, or overall provide a better customer experience that allows me to somewhat compete, but at least certainly not fall behind with or against my competitors. An example of that might be saying, okay, so if we have an initial customer onboarding call or an exploration call or a demo, maybe we can use the voice transcript of that demo to then send a follow-up email and or even customize the information available in the CRM based on the demo we performed with that prospective client. And then we can customize our outreach messages going forwards based on the specific things that they said are either pain points, things they find valuable in the solution, etc. And a great question to ask is, what repetitive low-value activities are currently killing margins or slowing down growth? Or you could somewhat invert it and you could say, what potential high-value activities could grow margins and accelerate growth? And that is a bit more offensive. So offensive is looking at how can we build new products or services around AI and how can we ride that wave forwards. So for example, that would mean creating new products and services that just couldn't exist without AI. There are some obviously very famous examples, like ChatGPT is a great product, and that's a software product. Or for example, Cursor is a very popular AI coding tool that would not be possible without the AI part of it. Those are examples in software engineering, which is my background, but there's many others. So for example, Instantly is a cold outreach platform that allows you to customize your outreach based on information you have about your person you're reaching out to, for example. So, there's many AI-driven SaaS tools. There's many things that allow you to personalize AI. Actually, a little bit later in the video, I'm going to go into more detail from an employee perspective about things that could be automated, if you want more insight and information on that. Now, a great question as well as the inverse of the previous one, is what value can I deliver that was technically impossible, not plausible, or just too expensive previously? Because AI is changing the game in many meaningful ways. And part of that is there's a lot more opportunity. Now, the third option, if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, which is honestly going to be fatal, is you ignore it and you get left behind. There are many famous examples of this, including Blockbuster ignoring Netflix, or Kodak, who said, hey, we have a really good thing here in printing physical photos. We don't want to make our cameras digital because it's going to wreck our printers. It's going to wreck so much of our business. We want to stay where we are. And what does that do? It means that you're leaving opportunity on the table for someone else to disrupt you. And if you don't disrupt yourself, somebody else will. So what's going to happen if you choose to not do anything? Your margins are going to be compressed. Your best team members are going to leave and go work with companies that are a little bit more forward thinking. And you're going to start losing customers, clients, users, because they're going to go where they're going to get the best experience the most cost effective way. And that's likely to be AI enabled in the future. Now, if you're an employee, something I've heard all the time is people saying AI is coming for your jobs, but nobody's telling you what to do about it. And I've heard some really terrible advice. Things like, don't use AI as they're going to replace us. That's terrible advice. And so, similar for employees as for business owners, is you can go on the offensive, you can go on the defensive, or you can choose to not really do anything. So, defensive is learn to use AI as a tool in your work and multiply your output. What does that mean? Well, figure out how can I use AI to get more done. With their businesses are always going to need somebody to oversee the AI. And if you're that person, you stand to face massive productivity gains, which also means you could very well get paid an awful lot more. For example, if you're a product manager working for a software company and you need to create product requirement documents, you're going to be able to do that so much faster with the assistance of AI. Copywriters can generate first drafts, or journalists, or anyone who's having to write. You can ideate with AI and certainly use your expertise, because you as an expert copywriter are almost definitely better than AI. But the really meaningful thing is you're going to be able to use AI better than someone who doesn't have your level of expertise. Same thing, for example, for data analysts. You can upload the data and you can have the AI help draw conclusions. But if you know how to manipulate the data, you know how to pull out the best insights, you're going to be able to do that so much better than anyone else. Even, for example, a video editor. I've seen the very best video editors that I know, they use AI to mock up a voiceover such that they can then start editing and producing video without waiting for the person who's often one of the limiting factors, which is a voiceover. And then they're able to start producing the video and give a starting point to then the person needs to be recording the voiceover. There's a lot of amazing opportunities. And the real key skills to try and figure out is how can I master a really core AI tool, which, for example, you could say is ChatGPT, but try and go a level beyond and say, okay, how can I figure out how to use ChatGPT in the best way? If, for example, maybe learning how to use Midjourney if you need to be creating images. Or, for example, there are many industry-specific tools, such as Cursor, and such as many others, that are worth exploring and finding. Now, if you want to go on the offensive, then actually you learning how to automate and change the workflows that you manage in your company, and how to use AI, and building on top of the subject matter expertise you already have, that is going to position you so well in the coming years, because you already know all the details about exactly how your job needs to be done. And if you can learn to design and implement these workflows, now there's no one else that could do it better than you. And now you're the person who owns and maintains that, which really locks you in with the company, and you're providing tremendous value. So, for example, if you're a marketing specialist, let's say, and part of your role is you need to do campaign reporting. If you could use AI to automate parts of that, it's going to free up bits of your time, which allow you to focus on higher value add activities for yourself and for your employer, which is going to make you more valuable. The more value you become, the more of a salary you can justify. And you're going to be able to, even for example, as mentioned before, is even if it's not quite as good as what you could create, if it can do 90% of the work, and then you can focus the rest of your time on, instead of having to do all that 90%, you focus on making the, in this case, campaign reporting, the very best it could be, you're immediately going to be positioned above everybody else. And so this is a great example of offense. And you need to consider and focus on skills such as, how does automation work? How does prompt engineering work? What are some of the common tools people are using, which for non-technical people tend to be Zapier, Make, using things like custom GPTs. There's various platforms online that don't require you to be technical, things like relevance.ai. There's many of them. And all of these things and coming together that could mean you could do a really, really good job at figuring out how to make yourself more productive. Now, finally, similar to before, you can choose to ignore it. You can follow the advice that I mentioned previously, which I think is terrible, and you can choose to not do it. Now, there's a lot of evidence for this, right? There's companies who are pausing hiring or saying, we are not going to hire anyone unless you can prove that AI can't do it. These are some of the most forward-thinking companies. And while most companies are not doing this, I think they will start to. I think that there's going to become a lot more supply of labor than there is today. And if you're someone who can really utilize AI with a lot of credibility, and you can leverage all of the skill that you have in your domain, and then use that with AI to massively compound the ability and multiply what you can do, suddenly you're going to become tremendously valuable to employers and to businesses. And that you're going to be able to justify a much higher salary and a much higher wage, even in the market of there's actually fewer positions, but the positions there are worth more. So that is more or less what I wanted to cover. But I do want to just end on what I've called the hidden risk, because a lot of people are somewhat passively adopting AI. They're using ChatGPT to write an email, and they think that that's making them more productive. In reality, that is not the case. If you are passively using AI and you're just using it for very small tasks, it's probably not actually helping you that much. And true adoption means you need to rewrite your workflows. You need to think differently about how you're approaching work and business, and proactively be seeking, how can I leverage this? Jeff Bezos came out of retirement because of the opportunity that he saw in AI. There's so much to this, but you need to be thinking proactively. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope this is sparking some thoughts and ideas for you guys. If anyone has any comments, questions, please put them below. And otherwise, thank you. I'll catch you in the next video.